Mr. Kane, can you hear me?" The man on the floor couldn't answer. His hand clawed at his chest. His mouth opened and closed, like a fish drowning in air. His face had gone from red to pale to a terrifying shade of blue. "Please, please, someone help." Miguel Torres dropped to his knees beside the dying billionaire. His hands shook as he yanked open drawer after drawer. Papers scattered across the marble floor. Pens rolled away. Files spilled everywhere. "Where is it? Where is it?" Victor Kane's eyes were wide with terror. He couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. His fingers reached desperately toward the desk, then fell limp. "No, no, no. Stay with me. Stay with me." Then a small voice cut through the chaos. "Papa?" Miguel's head whipped around. His 4-year-old son stood in the doorway. Leo was wrapped in a thin blanket, his face flushed with fever, his small body swaying, and in his tiny hand he held an inhaler. The last one, the only one they had until next paycheck. "Leo, no, go back." But the boy didn't listen. He took one step forward, then another. His bare feet made no sound on the cold floor. He walked past furniture that cost more than his father made in a year. He walked past paintings and sculptures and everything that separated his world from this one. He walked straight to the dying man, and he knelt down beside him. Victor's fading eyes found the child's face. For a moment, time stopped. A billionaire who had everything and a sick boy who had nothing looked at each other, both of them fighting to breathe, both of them running out of time. Leo lifted the inhaler. His small fingers trembled. Then he placed it gently into Victor's shaking hand. "Take it. Breathe. It will help you." Miguel's heart shattered. "Leo, that's yours. That's your medicine." The boy looked at his father with eyes too wise for 4 years old. "He needs it more right now, Papa." Victor's fingers closed around the inhaler. Miguel helped him bring it to his lips. One press, a desperate pull of air. Nothing happened. Victor's body went rigid. Then he pressed again. This time, air rushed in. His chest rose. Not much, but enough. He pressed a third time. Color began creeping back into his face. His breathing turned from non-existent to gasping to ragged to finally steady. Miguel caught his son as Leo's legs gave out. The boy had used everything he had left just to walk across that room. "I've got you, mijo. I've got you." Leo closed his eyes and whispered something so soft only God and his father could hear. "Please make him okay, God. Like you make me okay." Victor lay on the floor, chest heaving, staring at the child who had just saved his life. The empty inhaler fell from his hand and rolled across the marble. Empty, used up, gone. That was his? Victor's voice came out like gravel. That was his only one. Miguel held his son tighter, tears streaming down his face. "Yes, now let me ask you something. Have you ever had to choose between your own survival and saving a stranger? Have you ever watched someone give away the one thing keeping them alive?" That 4-year-old boy didn't hesitate. He didn't think about the cost. He just gave. But here's what will break you. What Victor discovered 6 months later about that night. About himself. About why he was really dying on that floor. That secret changes everything. And before this story ends, you'll understand why some people aren't just saved from death. They're saved from something far worse. If you believe in second chances, if you believe one moment can change everything, hit that like button right now, because what you're about to hear will remind you why every single breath matters. But to understand how we got to that moment, to understand what that secret really means, we need to go back to where this all began. The towers of glass and steel touched the sky. From the 52nd floor, the city looked like a scattered constellation of lights. Beautiful, cold, distant. Victor Kane stood at the window of his executive suite, staring at nothing. The office behind him was perfect. Marble floors stretched endlessly. Awards lined the shelves. Magazine covers with his face hung in frames. Headlines called him a visionary, a genius, the man who built a pharmaceutical empire that saved millions of lives. But none of them knew the truth. He couldn't save the one life that mattered. 7 years ago, Victor had a son, Daniel. Bright eyes, loud laugh, 7 years old and full of dreams about becoming an astronaut. Then came the diagnosis, a rare condition, aggressive, unforgiving. Victor threw everything at it. The best doctors in the world. Experimental treatments flown in from Europe, from Asia, from anywhere that promised hope. He wrote checks that made even his accountants nervous. He called in every favor. He begged. He prayed. Nothing worked. He watched his son fade, day by day, week by week, the light in those bright eyes dimming until one morning. They didn't open at all. 6 months after the funeral, Victor's wife packed her bags. She stood in the doorway of their bedroom, suitcase in hand, tears on her face. "I can't do this anymore, Victor. We can get through this. We can try." She shook her head. "I can't look at you without seeing him. I can't stay in this house. I can't. I'm sorry." The door closed behind her. Victor never saw her again, so he did the only thing he knew how to do. He worked. 16-hour days became 18. 18 became 20. He slept in his office. He ate at his desk. He stopped going home because home was just another empty building full of memories that cut like glass. His assistant, Jennifer, lasted 3 months before she quit. "Mr. Kane, you can't keep going like this. You need to rest. You need to talk to someone. I need you to schedule the board meeting for tomorrow and stop telling me what I need." His voice came out sharp as a blade. Jennifer flinched. 2 weeks later, she handed in her resignation. The next assistant lasted 2 months. The one after that, 6 weeks. They all left with the same sad, frightened look in their eyes, like they'd seen something broken that couldn't be fixed. Victor didn't care. He didn't feel much of anything anymore. The grief had burned so hot at first that it consumed everything. But grief can't burn forever. Eventually, it leaves nothing but ash and emptiness. Imagine standing on top of the world and feeling absolutely nothing. Imagine having more money than you could spend in 10 lifetimes and knowing it's all worthless. That was Victor Kane, a ghost haunting his own empire. But while Victor lived in towers of glass, another father fought his battles in the shadows. Miguel Torres pushed his cleaning cart down the empty hallway of the 52nd floor. It was 2 in the morning. The building was silent, except for the hum of the ventilation system and the soft squeak of his cart's wheels. He moved methodically from office to office, emptying trash bins, vacuuming carpets, wiping down desks, making everything perfect for people who would never know his name. Miguel was 40 years old, but looked older. His hands were rough from years of hard work. His back ached constantly. His eyes carried a permanent tiredness that sleep never quite touched. He'd come to this country 12 years ago with a young wife and big dreams. They were going to build something better, a real life, a future. Then Maria went into labor 2 months early. The clinic was small, under-equipped. There were complications, so many complications. The doctors tried, they really did, but trying isn't always enough. Maria died 3 hours after their son was born. Miguel held his newborn baby in one arm and his wife's hand in the other, and he made a promise. "I'll take care of him, mi amor. I swear to you, I'll give him the life we dreamed about. I promise." That promise was the only thing that kept him going. His son's name was Leo, 4 years old now, small for his age because he'd been born too early. His lungs never quite developed the way they should have. The doctors said it was asthma, chronic, severe, the kind that could turn dangerous without warning. Miguel carried an inhaler everywhere. Sometimes, too, the inhalers cost $40 each. Doctor visits cost more. The emergency room visit last month had cost $300 he didn't have. He was still paying it off. The janitorial job at Kane Industries paid just enough for rent and food. Barely. So Miguel worked a second job washing dishes at a downtown restaurant. He left the restaurant at 11 at night, took the bus across town, and cleaned offices until 7 in the morning. Then he went home, made breakfast for Leo, got him ready for the neighbor who watched him during the day, and slept for 3, maybe 4 hours before heading back to the restaurant. "Hey, Torres, you listening?" Miguel blinked. His supervisor, a thick-necked man named Harris, stood in front of him, arms crossed. "Yes, sir. I'm listening. You missed 2 shifts last month. I'm letting it slide this time because you're reliable otherwise. But 1 more absence and we're done. You understand?" Miguel's throat tightened. "Yes, sir. It won't happen again. It better not." Harris walked away. Miguel leaned against his cart, heart pounding. He couldn't lose this job. He couldn't, without it, They'd lose the apartment. They'd lose everything. But 3 nights later, everything fell apart anyway. Miguel came home from the restaurant at 11:15. The neighbor, Mrs. Chen, met him at the door. Her face was tight with worry. "Miguel, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sick. I think it's the flu. I can't watch Leo tomorrow. I don't want to get him sick." Miguel felt the ground shift under his feet. "Mrs. Chen, please, I'll bring medicine. I'll pay extra. I just need—" She was already shaking her head. "I'm sorry. I really am." The door closed. Miguel stood in the hallway, mind racing. He had no one else, no family here, no friends close enough to ask. The daycare cost money he didn't have, and they weren't open at night anyway. He walked into the apartment. Leo was asleep on the small couch, his breathing soft and even. Miguel touched his forehead. Heat, immediate and intense. "No, no, please, no." He grabbed the thermometer. 102.4. Too high, way too high. Leo's eyes fluttered open. "Papa? I'm here, mijo. I'm here." The boy's face was flushed, his eyes glassy. He coughed, and the sound rattled in his small chest. Miguel felt panic rising. Leo needed rest, medicine, monitoring. But Miguel had already missed 2 shifts. If he missed another, he'd be fired. No job meant no money. No money meant no apartment. No medicine, nothing. He looked at his son, at the only person in the world who mattered, and he made a choice he would regret and be grateful for in equal measure. "Leo, can you hear me?" The boy nodded weakly. "You're going to come with Papa to work tonight. Just this once. I'll make you comfortable. You'll sleep. I'll be right there. Okay?" "Okay, Papa." Miguel bundled his son in the warmest blanket they had. He gave him fever medicine and checked his inhaler. 1 left, the last one until Friday when he got paid. He packed it carefully in his jacket pocket. They took the bus across town. Leo leaned against his father's chest, eyes closed, body radiating heat. Miguel held him close and prayed, "Please, God, just let me get through tonight. Please." The Kane Industries building rose like a monument of glass and steel. The security guard at the desk nodded at Miguel. "Evening, Torres." "Evening, Marcus." The guard glanced at the bundle in Miguel's arms, but said nothing. Miguel took the service elevator to the 52nd floor. The executive level, silent, empty, perfect. He found a small room at the end of the hall. It used to be a file room but now served as a break area. There was an old couch that had been moved there when they redecorated. Miguel laid Leo down carefully. He adjusted the blanket. He placed a bottle of water within reach. He knelt beside his son and brushed the hair from his forehead. "Rest, mijo. Papa is close, I promise." Leo's eyes were already closing. "I love you, Papa. I love you too, my beautiful boy." Miguel went to work. He moved faster than usual, his mind never leaving the room at the end of the hall. Every 5 minutes, he checked. Leo was sleeping, breathing, okay. He was cleaning the conference room when he heard it, a sound that didn't belong, a crash, heavy, sudden, like something or someone had fallen. It came from the executive suite. Miguel froze, his heart kicked into overdrive. No one was supposed to be here this late, but he knew that office. He'd cleaned it 100 times. Victor Kane's office. Sometimes the man worked through the night. Miguel hesitated. It wasn't his place to interfere. He was just the janitor, the invisible man. People like Victor Kane didn't even know people like him existed. But the sound, it was wrong. Everything about it was wrong. He moved quickly down the hallway. The door to the suite was slightly open. Miguel pushed it wider. What he saw stopped his heart. Victor Kane was on the floor between his desk and the window. One hand clutched his chest. The other reached desperately toward the desk drawer. His face was drained of color. His lips had a blue tinge. His eyes were wide with panic and fear. He was gasping, choking, fighting for air that wouldn't come. Miguel had seen this before, too many times. With Leo, asthma attack. "Mr. Kane." Miguel rushed forward, dropping to his knees beside him. "Mr. Kane, can you hear me?" Victor's eyes found him, but couldn't focus. His hand kept reaching toward the desk. Miguel understood. He yanked open the drawer. Papers, pens, staplers, files, no inhaler. He pulled open another drawer. Then another, office supplies, scattered across the floor. Where is it? Where is it? Nothing. Victor was fading, his gasps becoming weaker, his movements slower, the blue tinge spreading. Please, please, someone help. Miguel's mind raced. There had to be one. A man with asthma would have one nearby. He had to, but there was nothing. Victor's hand fell limp. His eyes started to close. No, no, no. Stay with me. Stay with me. Then came the voice that changed everything. Papa? Miguel's head whipped around. Leo stood in the doorway, small, wrapped in his blanket, face flushed with fever, eyes half closed, and in his tiny hand, he held the inhaler. The last one. The only one. Leo, no, go back. But Leo didn't listen. He never listened when someone needed help. It was just who he was. Even at 4 years old, even sick, even scared, he took one step forward, his bare feet silent on the marble. Then another step, and another. He walked past the expensive desk, past the leather chairs, past the paintings worth more than everything Miguel would ever own. He walked straight to the dying man and knelt beside him. Victor's eyes opened slightly, barely there, barely alive. He looked at the child, really looked. Two people who understood what it meant to fight for breath. Two people who knew what it felt like when your lungs refused to work, when your body betrayed you, when death whispered close. Leo lifted the inhaler with both hands. His fingers trembled, not from fear, from fever and exhaustion, but his grip was sure. He placed it gently into Victor's shaking hand. Take it. Breathe. It will help you. His voice was soft, clear, certain. Miguel's heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. Leo, that's yours. That's your medicine. Leo looked at his father, those bright, feverish eyes, full of the kind of wisdom that doesn't come from years, but from suffering, from knowing what it's like to be helpless, from understanding that sometimes the right thing costs everything. He needs it more right now, Papa. Victor's trembling fingers closed around the inhaler. Miguel moved on instinct. He helped Victor bring it to his lips. Press it, sir. Press and breathe in. Victor pressed, a desperate pull of air. Nothing happened. His body went rigid. Miguel's panic skyrocketed. Again. Try again. Victor pressed a second time. This time air rushed in. His chest rose. Not much, just a little, but enough. He pressed a third time. Then a fourth. Color began creeping back into his face like dawn breaking after the longest night. His breathing turned from non-existent to gasping to ragged to finally, blessedly, steady. Miguel caught Leo as the boy's legs gave out. All his strength had gone into that walk across the room, into that one act of kindness. I've got you, mijo. I've got you. Leo rested his head against his father's chest. His eyes closed. His lips moved in a whisper. Please make him okay, God, like you make me okay when I can't breathe. Please. Minutes passed, maybe 5, maybe 10. Time felt strange and thick. Victor's breathing steadied. His color returned. Life flowed back into his body, one breath at a time. He slowly sat up with Miguel's help. His eyes went immediately to the child in Miguel's arms, then to the inhaler in his own hand. Empty, used up. That was his? Victor's voice came out like broken glass. Miguel swallowed hard. Yes, that was his only one. A pause, heavy, terrible. Yes. Victor's face crumpled. For the first time in 7 years, tears came. Real tears. Not the angry tears of grief. Not the bitter tears of loss. But tears of something else. Something he'd forgotten existed. Gratitude. Wonder. Shame. Hope. He looked at the boy. What's his name? Leo. How old? 4. Victor's jaw tightened. Daniel had been 7, but 4. 4 was still so small, so fragile, so impossibly young to understand sacrifice. He needs a doctor. It wasn't a question. Miguel nodded. I know. I'll take him to the clinic tomorrow. No. Victor's voice was firm. Stronger now. Tonight. Now. Miguel looked up, confusion crossing his exhausted face. Mr. Kane, I can't afford the emergency room right now. I still owe from last month. I'll take him to the clinic in the morning when you're not paying." Victor reached for his phone on the desk. His hands still shook, but they worked. He dialed a number from memory. 2 rings. "Dr. Harrison, it's Victor Kane." A pause. A voice on the other end, concerned and confused. "No, I'm fine. I need you at Mercy General immediately." Another pause. "No, not me. A child, 4 years old, asthma and high fever. He just saved my life, and I need you to save his." One more pause. 20 minutes. "I'll meet you there." He ended the call and looked at Miguel. "Come, my driver is downstairs." Miguel stood slowly, holding Leo close. "Mr. Kane, I don't understand. Why are you doing this?" Victor looked at him, really looked, not as a billionaire to a janitor, not as an employer to an employee, but as one father to another. "Because your son just gave me his last breath so I could live. The least I can do is make sure he keeps breathing too." The hospital was all bright lights and antiseptic smells. Victor's driver had brought them in the private car, a sleek black sedan that probably cost more than Miguel made in 5 years. The staff saw Victor Kane walk through the doors and everything shifted into high gear. Dr. Harrison met them at the entrance. He was in his 60s, gray-haired, with kind eyes and steady hands. The same doctor who had treated Daniel, who had fought so hard and lost anyway. "Victor." The doctor's eyes swept over him, checking for injuries. "I'm fine, Richard. It's the boy." He gestured to Leo in Miguel's arms. Dr. Harrison moved immediately into doctor mode. He began asking questions as they walked. "What's his name?" "Leo." "How high is the fever?" 102.4. "An hour ago." "History of asthma?" "Yes." "Severe." "Current medications?" Miguel's voice was quiet. "Whatever the clinic can give us when we can afford it." Dr. Harrison's expression tightened, but he said nothing. He led them to a private room. Nurses appeared. Equipment came out. They took Leo gently from Miguel's arms and laid him on the bed. The boy's eyes opened. "Papa?" "I'm here, mijo. These people are going to help you feel better." Leo looked at the strangers in scrubs and white coats. Then at the machines, the tubes, the needles being prepared. Fear crossed his small face. "Will it hurt?" "A little, but only for a second." "You're brave." "I know you are." Leo's lip trembled. Then he looked past his father to where Victor stood in the doorway. Their eyes met, the boy who had given everything and the man who had received it. Victor stepped forward. He knelt beside the bed so he was eye level with Leo. "You saved my life tonight. Do you know that?" Leo nodded slightly. "You were very brave. Can you be brave a little longer?" "Is it scary being sick?" "Yes, very scary. Me too. I get scared when I can't breathe." "I know. I get scared too." Victor's voice cracked. "But these doctors are going to make you feel better, and I'm going to stay right here. Your papa and I both. We're not going anywhere. Okay?" Leo looked at him for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Okay." Dr. Harrison and the nurses worked quickly. 4 line, oxygen, stronger medications than the clinic had ever provided, fluids for dehydration. They checked vitals, listened to his lungs, administered treatments. Miguel stood against the wall, watching, his hands clenched so tight his knuckles were white. Victor stood beside him. They didn't speak. What was there to say? Everything had already been said in that office. In that moment when a child chose to save a stranger, an hour passed. Then 2, slowly, gradually, Leo's temperature began to drop. His breathing eased. His color improved. The tightness in his small chest loosened. Dr. Harrison finally stepped back and pulled off his stethoscope. "He's stable. The fever's breaking. The breathing treatments are working. He needs rest and monitoring, but he's going to be fine." Miguel's knees nearly buckled. He grabbed the wall for support. "Thank you. Thank you so much. Can I see him?" "Of course." Miguel moved to the bed. Leo's eyes were open, tired but clear. "Hi, Papa." "Hi, my brave boy." "I was brave. You were so brave. The bravest. I'm tired now." "Then sleep." "I'm right here." Leo's eyes drifted closed. Within seconds, he was asleep. Real sleep. Healing sleep. Miguel stood there, one hand on his son's arm, and let the tears come. Silent tears of relief and gratitude and overwhelming exhaustion. Victor watched them, father and son, everything that mattered in one tiny hospital bed. He turned to Dr. Harrison. Whatever he needs, whatever it costs, send the bills to me. Victor, all of it, Richard. Medicine, follow-up care, equipment, everything. And I want him set up with the best pediatric asthma specialist in the city. That's very generous. It's not generous. It's necessary. Dr. Harrison studied him for a moment. You look different. What? Victor, I've known you for 15 years. You look different. Like you're actually here. Victor's throat tightened. Maybe the first AM. For the first time in a long time. The doctor squeezed his shoulder and walked away to check on other patients. Victor stayed. He pulled a chair next to Miguel and sat down. For a long time, neither of them spoke. They just sat in the quiet hum of hospital sounds. Machines beeping softly, footsteps in distant hallways, the whisper of air through vents. Finally, Miguel broke the silence. Why? His voice was barely there. Why are you doing this? Victor stared at Leo's sleeping face. I had a son. His name was Daniel. He died 7 years ago from an illness I couldn't cure. All my money, all my connections, all my power, none of it saved him. Miguel's breath caught. I'm sorry. So am I. Victor leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Tonight, I was dying. And your son, your beautiful, sick, feverish son, gave me his last breath so I could live. He didn't know me. He had no reason to help me, but he did it anyway. His voice cracked. How do I not do everything in my power to help him? Miguel wiped his eyes. You already have. No, this is just the beginning. What do you mean? Victor turned to look at him. I want to make sure Leo has what he needs. Not just tonight. Medicine, regular doctor visits, a good specialist. I want to set up a fund for his future, for his education, for whatever he needs. Miguel's eyes went wide. Mr. Kane, I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. But why? We're nothing to you. I'm just the janitor. My son is just. Your son saved my life. Victor's voice was firm. And more than that, he reminded me of something I'd forgotten. That life is still worth living. That there's still good in this world. That maybe I'm still here for a reason. He paused. If you'll let me, I'd like to be part of his life. Part of both your lives. Not as a boss, not as a billionaire, but as someone who owes him everything. Miguel looked at his sleeping son, then back at Victor. Yes, yes. The weeks turned into months. True to his word, Victor made sure Leo had the best care. A top pediatric asthma specialist, regular appointments, an emergency inhaler always within reach, 2 backups at home, medications that actually worked, a nebulizer for severe episodes. But he didn't stop there. He found Miguel a new position within Kane Industries, building maintenance supervisor, daytime hours, better pay, benefits, real benefits, health insurance that covered Leo's treatments. Miguel was able to quit the restaurant job, to sleep more than 4 hours a night, to actually spend time with his son. They moved to a better apartment. Nothing fancy, but safe, clean, in a neighborhood with good schools, and Victor became a constant in their lives. At first, it was awkward. Brief visits to check on Leo's progress, stiff conversations, long silences filled with uncertainty. But slowly, things changed. Leo would run to the door when Victor visited. Uncle Victor, look what I drew. Let me see. The boy would show him crayon drawings of buildings and cars and families. Victor would study each one seriously. This is excellent. You're very talented. It's you and me and Papa. And there on the page, 3 stick figures holding hands. Victor's chest would tighten every single time. They'd have dinner together. Miguel would cook simple food, rice and beans, chicken, nothing fancy, nothing like the 5-star restaurants Victor was used to. But it was the best food he'd ever tasted, because it wasn't about the food. It was about sitting at a small table with people who actually wanted him there, who laughed, who talked, who included him. Leo would tell rambling stories about his day, about the cat he saw, about his friend at preschool, about everything and nothing. And Victor would listen like it was the most important thing in the world, because it was. Miguel would watch from across the table, gratitude and wonder in his eyes. One evening, about 6 months after that night in the office, they sat on the small balcony of Miguel and Leo's apartment. Leo was inside, already asleep. The city lights spread out before them like scattered stars. Miguel handed Victor a beer. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Victor spoke. "I need to tell you something." Miguel looked at him. "What is it?" Victor's hands tightened on the railing. "That night in my office, I wasn't just having an asthma attack." "What do you mean?" Victor's voice dropped. "I had stopped taking my medication, on purpose, for weeks." Miguel's breath caught. "I was tired, Miguel, so tired, of waking up alone, of the emptiness, of remembering everything I'd lost. I thought if something happened, if my asthma got bad enough, maybe it would just end, and I wouldn't have to fight anymore." "Victor, that night was the worst attack I'd ever had, and when I couldn't breathe, when I thought it was finally over, I felt relief." Miguel's eyes filled with tears. "And then Leo came." Victor's voice broke completely. "This tiny, sick boy, and he gave me his breath, his only breath, without hesitation, without knowing me. He just gave." He turned to Miguel, tears streaming down his face. "He didn't just save my life. He reminded me why life is worth living. He gave me a reason to keep going, to be better, to actually live instead of just exist." Miguel gripped his shoulder. "He saved both of us, Victor. You gave us hope, a future, a chance. You gave Leo things I could never give him on my own. 2 broken men made whole by a child's kindness. We're family now, the 3 of us, maybe not by blood, but by something stronger." Victor nodded, unable to speak. They sat together in the quiet, watching the city breathe below them. The years passed. Leo grew stronger, taller. His asthma, while still present, became manageable. He learned what triggered it, how to recognize the warning signs, how to treat it early. He excelled in school, smart, curious, asking a million questions about everything. "Why does medicine work, Papa? How do doctors know what's wrong? Can I help people when I grow up?" "You can be anything you want, mijo. I want to be a doctor, like Dr. Harrison, so I can help kids like me." Miguel would watch his son with pride that made his chest ache. Victor restructured parts of Kane Industries. He created a foundation, programs specifically for low-income families dealing with chronic childhood illnesses, free medications, financial assistance for doctor visits, support groups, resources. The programs bore Daniel's name, but they were inspired by Leo. Every child helped was a small redemption, a way to turn his pain into purpose. On the 7th anniversary of that night, Victor took Miguel and Leo to a special place. They stood in front of a building, new, modern, beautiful, a children's hospital specializing in respiratory illnesses and rare conditions. Above the entrance, a bronze plaque, the Daniel and Leo Foundation Center, in memory of Daniel Kane, in honor of Leo Torres, where every breath matters. Leo, now 10 years old, read it slowly. His eyes went wide. "That's me?" Victor knelt down, eye level with the boy. "That's you. You taught me that the smallest hands can carry the greatest gifts. That kindness doesn't count cost. That love isn't gone. It just changes form." He smiled, tears in his eyes. "You saved my life, Leo. Now we're going to save others. Together." Leo threw his arms around Victor's neck. "I love you, Uncle Victor. I love you too, kid." Miguel stood beside them, hand on his son's shoulder, looking at the building that represented everything. Hope, redemption, second chances, the power of a single choice to change everything. Because that's what it was, wasn't it? A choice. Leo choosing to give his last breath, Victor choosing to live instead of die. Both of them choosing love over fear, connection over isolation, hope over despair. The secret that broke them all wasn't hidden anymore. It was laid bare for anyone to see. Sometimes the people who save us are the ones who need saving most. Victor had all the money in the world, but he was dying inside. Miguel and Leo had nothing, but they had each other, and somehow, impossibly, beautifully, they found each other at exactly the right moment. When a 4-year-old boy gave his last breath to a dying billionaire, he gave him more than air. He gave him a reason to breathe. And when that billionaire chose to live, really live, he gave that boy a future, not out of obligation, not out of debt, but out of love. Pure, simple, transformative. Leo had given Victor his last breath so a stranger could live, and in return, Victor gave him a future filled with every breath he'd ever need. Because that's what love does. It multiplies. It transforms. It takes broken pieces and makes something whole. 3 people, 3 broken hearts, 1 moment of pure kindness, and everything changed. So let me ask you, who in your life has given you their last breath? Who looked at you when you were dying, in whatever way you were dying, and chose to save you? And whose life could you change with yours? Maybe you're the one drowning right now. Maybe you're the one who can't breathe. Maybe you feel like Victor did, tired, empty, ready to give up. Or maybe you're Miguel, working yourself to death, terrified, barely holding on, trying to save someone you love with resources you don't have. Or maybe, just maybe, you're Leo, small, sick, afraid, but willing to give anyway. Wherever you are, whoever you are, remember this. Every breath matters. Yours matters. The person next to you matters. The stranger you'll never meet matters. 1 act of kindness, 1 moment of courage, 1 choice to give instead of hoard, to love instead of fear, to live instead of just survive. That's all it takes to change everything. If this story touched your heart, share it. Be someone's second chance. Be someone's reason to keep breathing. Hit that subscribe button if you believe every life has purpose. Drop a comment telling me about someone who saved you in whatever way you needed saving. Because we're all drowning sometimes. We're all gasping for air. We're all desperate for someone to hand us that inhaler when we need it most. Be that person for someone, anyone. And remember, every breath matters. Every single one.